The beautiful heroine has conquered Hollywood, and now she wants to relax a little in nature. She returns to her hometown together with her husband. The girl leads a healthy lifestyle. She is restoring old ties. Her friends are happy about the girl's return. Men help her to remember the past while the heroine's husband is into hunting. This is Emily Recaps. The end of this film impressed me. Watch a Hollywood screenwriter adapt to rural life and avenge his wife. Enjoy the video. The film begins with a fragment of a hunt. The men have driven a deer. Amy and David Sumner are traveling in a convertible. The couple is having fun and singing songs. They are met by hunters with their prey. Amy arrives home with her husband. She looks at familiar places and says hello to people she knows. The guys stop for a bite to eat at a pub. They are approached by the girl's friend, Charlie. The girl introduces him to her husband. Charlie talks about renovating their house. The man is interested in David's work. The hero writes scripts for films. David realizes that an old friend wants to talk to his wife alone. He goes to the bar to get a beer. Charlie sits down at Amy's table. He is sorry for her loss. The girl's father died. David watches the couple from the sidelines. The man at the bar, Tom Hedden, is interested in the guy's shoes. Jeremy Niles enters the bar with his dog. The waitress asks the guy to leave the dog outside. David sees a picture of Amy and Charlie in their youth on the wall. Suddenly, his neighbor at the bar starts behaving inappropriately. Charlie goes to the man to calm him down. Coach wants to pick a fight with Blackie the bartender. The bartender decides not to pour Tom any more alcohol. Coach makes his way to the kegs of beer and pours it for himself. The men are approached by the sheriff. He asks the coach to leave the bar. After a while, the couple leaves the bar. The hero is outraged. There is a stranger sitting in his car. It's Jeremy. Next to the man sits his dog. Amy approaches her friend for a chat. The guy is picked up by his brother, Daniel. The heroes drive off towards home. On the way, the husband asks Amy about Charlie. The girl stops the car to have some fun. Her husband gets out of the car and walks to the house. Amy shows her house to David. The husband finds some old records and puts on some music. The girl tells her husband about her father. While David is working, Amy goes grocery shopping. The girl returns home. She wonders if David is comfortable in her house. The couple sits down to talk on a chair. Suddenly, a cat jumps on Amy. David is frightened by the animal. In the morning, the heroes wake up to the sounds of renovations. Charlie and his boys, Bick, Chris, and Norman, come to repair the roof in the barn. David asks the man to start the repairs an hour later than usual. After a while, Bick walks in. The man wants a beer. He is surprised that the beer in the fridge is warm. Bick sits down to talk to David. Amy approaches them. Bick promises to fix the fridge. David continues to work. Amy got an ice cream and sat down to talk to her husband. The man was surprised at the boy's manners. Amy suggested that the husband set his own rules of behavior in their house. David went to talk to Charlie. The builders got together to go hunting. Charlie suggested that the screenwriter join them on the hunt. Amy approached the men. She was surprised that her husband wanted to agree to her friend's suggestion. In the next scene, the men play pool in a bar. The characters are playing chess at home at this time. Amy is learning how to play. David is playing the sport, while his wife reads the rules of the game. The husband suggests that Amy lie down on the bed. The man drives chess pieces on the girl's thigh. Coach Hedden tells hunting stories at the bar. The boys warn Daniel that his brother is acting strangely. The man defended his brother. In the morning, Amy went for a run. The construction workers followed her by car. The men looked at the girl's figure. At this time, David couldn't concentrate on the script. The construction workers honked for the girl to give way. When Amy returned from her jog, everyone looked at her. The girl, on the other hand, looked intently into Charlie's eyes. She was angry. At home, the heroine decided to snack on an apple. Her husband tells her about how his work is progressing. He calls the construction workers straw dogs and explains to his wife the meaning of the phrase. He believes that the once popular blokes are no good to anyone now. Amy talks about men ogling her. David says that the wife should be more modest and wear a bra. The heroine is surprised at her husband's reaction. She dresses for him. However, David insists on his own way. The girl goes to the bedroom to take a shower. She opens the window and undresses in front of the builders. The men gawk at her body. Charlie asks them to turn the music up. The unnecessary sounds disturb the screenwriter. At lunchtime, the men consider what's under the bonnet of the hero's convertible. David leaves the house. He's about to go into town to make a phone call. The construction workers finished work early because of the heat. The writer catches up with the builder's car on the road. The guys are driving slowly. David wants to overtake them. However, there is a sawmill ahead, and the hero almost gets into an accident. In the city, David calls his agent. He promises to finish the work in a fortnight. The man sees that Jeremy is approached by a girl, Janice. She strokes the guy's dog. Daniel asks Janice to leave and forbids his brother to talk to the brunette. The hero goes into a bar. There, he gets acquainted with the current coach of the football team of the town. The man invites him and Amy to a church service and a picnic. David agrees. He has a glass of beer and treats his wife's friends. The whole town gathers at the church. David feels bored. He leaves the church. A man is dozing in a convertible. Charlie approaches him. The man thinks the screenwriter has been rude to the pastor. David understands the builder's innuendo. He tells the man that he noticed the way he and Amy were looking at each other. After the service, the characters go to a picnic. Amy chats with her acquaintances. The girl introduces her husband to her friends. Charlie and Norman join them. Jeremy greets the guys. The guy is attacked by Coach Tom. Charlie separates the men. Amy also gets involved in the fight. David takes his wife away. He is unhappy that Amy decided to get between the drunken coach and a friend. In the evening, Amy watches a film. David is playing sports. This disturbs his wife. A man discovers a dead cat in the cupboard. Amy thinks it was done by one of the townspeople. She gets her father's gun out of the hiding place. The next day, the hero observes the construction workers through the window. The wife insists that the man talk to the guys. David comes up with a plan to find out who killed their cat. The screenwriter invites the construction workers into the house. He asks the guys to hang a trap on the wall. Amy brings the men a beer and calls for the cat. David watches each man's reaction carefully. Charlie invites David to go hunting. Amy does not like the idea. However, her husband agrees. In the morning, the men go hunting. They wonder how David met Amy. The heroine went for a run. Norman gave David a brightly colored waistcoat. The hunters are interested in the man's job. The writer tells them that someone has killed their cat. The men disperse into the woods. In the fog, David fights off mosquitoes. Suddenly, he hears a gunshot. David thinks it was him who was shot. A deer runs past the man. The hunters find the hero on the grass. They agree on who will go where to get the animal. At this time, Charlie comes to Amy's house. The girl wants to close the door in front of him, but the man prevents her. They talk about what happened to the girl's cat. The heroine does not want the friend to enter the house. However, the guy is persistent. Amy accuses Charlie of killing the cat. The guy claims he didn't do it. Charlie wants to be closer to Amy. He starts kissing her. The girl objects. The guy asks her to calm down. They lie down on the couch to do so. David comes out on the trail of a deer, while his wife is relieving tension with a friend. The hero shoots the deer. Suddenly, music comes on. Norman appears behind Charlie's back. He drags the girl off the couch to have some fun. Charlie watches his friend and ex-girlfriend. David strokes the fur of a dead deer. The men leave. Amy is crying. The hero walks down the motorway with a shotgun. He is stopped by the sheriff. The man warns David that he could be arrested for poaching. You need a permit to hunt and own a gun. The sheriff gives the man a ride home. Amy meets her husband in the bedroom. He tells of the men leaving him in the woods. The girl calls the husband a coward. She thinks he should have dealt with the boys. Amy wants her and her husband to leave town. David decides to stay and fire the construction workers. The next day, the hero communicates with Charlie. He says that he is not satisfied with the work of the men and asks them to finish the job. While David writes a check, Charlie looks at the man's notes. The hero gives the hunter a shotgun. In the evening, Amy suggests that her husband go to a football game. The whole town has gathered at the stadium. Construction workers drink beer by the fire. Jeremy is approached by Janice. The girl wants to go for a walk with a friend. The game begins. Amy's friends are seated in the bleachers. The girl remembers spending time with men the day before. It depresses her. Janice took Jeremy to a secret place by the locker room. She wanted to get to know the guy better. The coach started looking for his daughter. Her friends told her that they saw the girl with Jeremy. The man went into the locker room. Jeremy covered the girl's mouth with the palm of his hand so she wouldn't give them away. The guy didn't calculate the force. Amy and David were getting ready to go home. Her husband noticed that the girl was worried about something. Suddenly, Jeremy jumped out in front of their car. The screenwriter stopped. He saw a guy on the road with a broken arm. The couple took Jeremy home to call an ambulance. Tom and Charlie heard that the guys had called an ambulance to Amy's farm. The men decided to find out what had happened. The coach was sure that Jeremy had hurt his daughter. Charlie knocked on the door and asked for Jeremy to be given to them. Amy took her friend upstairs. Coach was angry that the writer wouldn't answer the door. Charlie picked up a shotgun. The men started throwing empty bottles at Amy's windows. The sheriff arrived at the house. He ordered the men to put the guns on the ground. The sheriff asked the men to calm the coach down. While the sheriff was talking to the hero, Tom picked up the shotgun. He shot the sheriff. The hero told his wife that they needed to hold out until the state police arrived. The boys killed a man and would not leave any witnesses alive. A shard of glass hit the hero in the head. The men tried to get into the house by breaking windows. Hasty heroes loaded the trap. Amy went to get her father's gun. David put pots of water on the fire. A firefight ensued. Chris sneaked in through the broken window. David nailed his hands to the frame with a construction stapler. The coach began firing at the other window. A man poured boiling water on the coach. Tom went back to the guys. David put on some music and wiped his glasses. Charlie was surprised that Amy's husband turned out to be a brave man. The guys started ramming the house with the car. Norman saw an open window upstairs. The man grabbed a stepladder. David went downstairs to defend his house. He shot the coach and started fighting with Bick. Charlie took the shotgun. However, it was already out of ammunition. Norman snuck into the house and attacked the girl. David rushed upstairs. Charlie pointed the shotgun at Norman. The boys agreed not to shoot each other. When Charlie put the gun down, Norman took aim at David. Amy grabbed her father's shotgun and shot Norman. Charlie disarmed his friend. The screenwriter threw Charlie off his wife. The men began to fight. Charlie wanted to shoot David. However, Amy pointed a shotgun at her friend. When Charlie was distracted, David threw a trap over the guy's head. The hero examined the house and the people who died when he tried to attack them. To get rid of the evidence, David burned down the house. Rate this movie in the comments. How would you behave if you were the hero? Perhaps he should have left town with his wife when he had the chance. That was the 2011 film Straw Dogs. See you in the following videos.